Well, Jason, I think one of my favorite songs that we play for you on the station has got to Be Kind. And might as well dive straight into that one. Since that is the most well-known one that we've got over here.
Yeah, absolutely, on V180. Yeah.
On V180 anyway. Yeah. So we wanted to hear a little bit of a backstory as to what was the inspiration behind that song? Where was your heart? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, first of all, thank you for playing the song. I'm so grateful to hear that. I'd always hoped it would be a single, and they haven't released it here in the States as a single. So I'm thrilled to hear that you guys are playing it. So
and loving it, might I add.
I should also explain here at the beginning too. I do have a speech handicap. So anyone who's hearing this, I don't want you to think that these guys were making me nervous or anything like that. It's just what some people find it endearing. So
no,
okay.
Good.
I was going to say it's a bit like Moses, where he comes to God and goes, no, I can't talk. I've got this thing. So yeah, no, you're right.
All good. Yeah. All good.
So Be Kind. People often ask me, where do your brilliant song ideas come from, Jason? And I like to read a lot, and if I happen upon some quote or some combination of words that moves me, I think, maybe this would be helpful for others too, and I'll usually make a song out of it. And it's especially helpful if whoever originated the quote is dead, so that I don't have to pay royalties. So,
love it.
So I've built a ministry over the years off the backs of people who are way wiser than me, stealing their best ideas, and they can't do anything about it because they've already passed on. So. Be Kind was inspired by a quote by a Scottish preacher from the 1890s named Ian McLaren. And he said this thing, I'm sure that you've heard a version of it, but the quote is, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is in a hard battle." And my pastor kind of had that as the signature at the end of his emails. And when I saw that, I was very moved by it, in part because I was in my own hard time, and was very grateful for the kindness of others, And so I thought maybe this song could be helpful in our world right now. So yeah.
No, because I heard it, I'm like, this is a really good song, because there's so many different songs out there, and there's good songs and there's okay songs.
Yeah.
But I heard that and I thought this has got to come out of some sort of life lesson, story or chapter or something that you would have related to, no doubt.
Mm.
Oh well, I mean, it was inspired by the quote, but when I first read that, it was meaningful to me because I was in the midst of my own divorce. I went through a brutal divorce about 8 years ago, as opposed to the pleasant kind that you always hear about.
Yeah, of course.
So,
yeah. Sorry to hear that. Yeah.
So it was in the wake of that, I was just very
frail.
And when you go through a catastrophe like that, our understanding of ourselves is kind of propped up on a few legs, right? And in the divorce, I lost my sense of, my understanding of myself as a husband and a provider. And I lost my understanding of myself as a present father. I lost my understanding of someone who could trust that God would save the day. So those are big pieces of your identity to just kind of get washed away in one tidal wave, And so I was not myself. I was trying hard and to but I was very destabilized for a period of time, and it was the kindness and the patience of others that loved me back home again. So
that's great.
That's beautiful. So, I completely resonate with that. The healing, the kindness and the love of other people can be so healing to your soul as well, especially in such a terrible thing to go through. That's what's great that you come through the other side, and that's amazing.
I was wondering though. So let's stick with the family side of thing for a second and go back to your music. Let's get a little bit more lighthearted, I guess. You've been working with your son with some of your music and stuff. Is he still producing albums for you?
He is currently the keys player for a band called We Are Messengers.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So he's out on the road with those guys, and he's so talented. We did a record with each other back in 2019. I recognized that he was interested in a career in music, and I thought, you know what, I can help. I understand the industry, I can help. And then as he made a name for himself as a producer and a songwriter and a player, all that kind of stuff, I realized, he doesn't need my help at all. And then at some point I began to realize, actually, maybe I need his help, he can pull me up a little bit, So when you approach a family member about a business venture or a work thing, you have to be careful because they might feel obligated or something like that. So with all of that in mind, I chose my words very carefully. And, when I presented the idea to him, so I said, hey man, I've been floating you for 18 years. You owe me. And so he agreed to make a record with me, so that's how that happened.
That's good.
But it was great. He's I think the challenge for me was to not step into dad mode, to be professional with him and let him be the captain of the ship, So that was an interesting adventure for me, and he did great. I hope we get to do some more with each other. I think we will.
Good.
That's awesome.
You're doing what Toby Mac did, Michael W. Smith, Bart Millard, Stevie Curtis Chapman. It just,
Love it. Propping up the next generation. That's so cool, Jason. Very, very cool. So since we're talking about, perhaps making more music, are you working on anything at the moment? What can we expect from you?
The album that Be Kind is off of, I've been releasing a couple songs every 6 weeks, and the full album finally releases in a week and a half.
Ooh.
Will be when the whole thing is done. So I'm excited about that. I'm also working on a book of devotional essays for every one of the songs I've ever released. So, and I've been working on that for a year and a half. Writing a book is hard, man.
Yeah.
It is so hard. Kudos to anyone who's ever written a book.
Wow, yeah. Oh, wow.
Was that a post-COVID thing? Went, what do we do now? Or a pre-thing? And you went, I've got a bit of time now.
Try something new. Why not?
I started working on it during COVID, and it's such a massive amount of work I think once you decide to commit something to print, it takes on a different weight, and you realize this is going to be forever. So I better not mix my metaphors. I better have clear thinking. I better be truthful. So it's very demanding. I think I'm going to come out of it a better human being, a better Christian, a clear thinker. So yeah, it's been a good adventure in all those things.
We're short of time. I know we're a bit short of time. So There's always this one big question that Leah loves to know the answer to.
Yeah,
super important, right?
So super important, super serious. So don't answer it straight away. Take a minute, think about it. It's one of those questions we ask every single guest that we interview here on V180. Okay, so I'm going to set the scene a little bit. So if you were in a fight, but you had to verse either a one horse-sized duck, so one very big duck, or 100 duck-sized horses, which would you prefer?
I'm going to say 100 duck-sized horses, and I'm just going to plow through them.
Okay.
Just kicking them.
Okay. So
you've been watching John Wick, yeah.
Okay, so that's very interesting. Very interesting, because every person we've asked has had the same answer. Whereas our consensus in the office is the one duck-sized.
I say the
one horse-sized duck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
very
so
interesting.
Funny. Hey,
very interesting.
That would be terrifying.
Yeah, it would.
Horse-sized duck. That would be terrifying. But duck-sized horses would not be terrifying. I would probably laugh at first.
But there's 100 of them, though. There'd be heaps.
Gosh.
They're funny.
So true.
No, fair enough. Okay, that's right. We can respect that answer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so Jace, before we go then.
Agree to disagree.
Do you have any tour plans here to come to Australia at any point?
Yes.
Oh,
That's
man.
our big question.
I have a story there. Are we out of time for a story?
No, we can squeeze in a story.
Yes, but there's a story there.
Oh, okay. Intrigue.
This happened, I'm going to say, about 10 years ago. I was in the midst of my marriage coming apart, and it was so painful, and I was terrified. And I'm driving up to play a show at a pastor's conference, and I'm crying out to God, please speak to me. Tell me what I have to do to turn this around, right? And I play at the pastor's conference, and the host, he comes to me afterwards, and he says, hey, there's a pastor here who believes he has a word from the Lord for you, and would like to meet you in your green room if you're okay with that. And I'm thinking, this is it. God has heard my prayer, and he's going to share this thing. So I said, yes, by all means, And so he meets me in the green room, and he begins to pray over me, and I'm so hopeful. And he asks, what does the word Australia mean to you? How do you feel about Australia? And my heart sank, right? Because I thought, this doesn't have anything to do with the thing that I'm most desperate for. And so I actually felt very abandoned in that moment, and bitter, And so I remember I answered, well, I like Crocodile Dundee, which was passive aggressive to me, right? And I see him note the passive aggressiveness, but presses in anyway, and he continues to pray over me, and he prays, I believe you're supposed to go to Australia, and that the people of Australia are waiting for you to bring the gospel to them. Now, I'm thinking, this is nonsense. This is stupid. I don't imagine that I'm so important that Australia is waiting for me to bring. There's other people already doing the job in Australia, right? So I remember going home and just feeling so disappointed and so alone, like God had abandoned me and didn't care. Okay, so skip ahead a month, and I'm playing in North Carolina, which is about 2,000 miles away. Oh, a month later, and I'm playing at a church, and afterwards, a lady hands me a note, and I open it up later in my hotel room, and it says, as you were singing, I saw the word Australia above you. And I believe the Lord wants to say that the the people of Australia are waiting for you. And I was like, okay, what? That's
weird.
crazy.
Mm.
Like it was the exact same language, everything. I said, okay, you've got my attention. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, am I supposed to buy an airplane ticket, but I don't even know where I do, and that's the end of the story so far. That's there hasn't been anything that's happened since. It was 10 years ago. And so if you guys have some sense, some clue to help me complete this quest, this weird story without an ending in my life, I'm all ears.
Well,
bottom line is, I'd love to come to Australia. I just, so.
Well, I mean,
I was going to say, good news is your music is all across Australia, as it is with Vision. And so, I'm looking at the list we've got right now, 26 songs of yours in our playlist. So you are currently on air.
Quite a bit here.
On Vision. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. So I think...
I wondered about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to complete the story, I think you're going to have to come to Australia.
Yeah.
It just has to happen.
Right? So, I'm just putting it out there in case there's anyone hearing this is like, oh yeah, I think we're supposed to invite Jason over. So anyway.
Well, look, Jason,
it's a weird story though, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that a weird story?
That is.
That's a great story.
That's
an awesome story.
I love it.
I love that
God works in amazing ways.
He sure does.
But look, we thank you so much for hanging out with us as well, just shortly, briefly. And, we'll be praying for you that you'll be coming to Australia at some stage too. So
Yes.
But we thank you very much for your time, though.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
Thank you for hanging out with me. It's good to meet you guys.
Yeah.
You too. All right, bless ya.
Vision 180.
Live different.
Different.